And certain colognes of the 80s, di ba? Yung crush ko, amoy Dracar eh, di ba? Kahit sinong maamoy ko, amoy Dracar.
Okay.
Pag may maamoy mo Old Spice, wala, daddy mo yun.
Oo nga.
Kahit boyfriend mo yun, hindi mo mahalikan kasi amoy ng daddy mo yun.
Or in the darkest days of the 70s, remember that musk perfume, Jovan? Oh my God!
Sino kaya nag-invent? Ulit ba sila sa atin?
The world has gone bonkers. We now live in George Orwell's 1984. War is peace, ignorance is strength, and crazy is normal. How do you stay sane? Gang Badoy is an alternative educator and advocate for social change. She is the executive director of Project Steady. Gang, I don't understand the world anymore. Can you explain it to me, please? What happened?
Well, for a very long time, I think facts ruled.
Yes.
I think the more sophisticated we got or we imagined we got, parang there were more lines blurred and questioned. Kasi I think for a long time, may sets of rules. There were sets of rules. You know, your parents, you respect your parents. Whatever they said was sound. And you obey, and you know there was a natural order of things, you know. And then I think
And then if you work hard and you graduate on top of your class, that's a good thing.
yes, if you plant something, you will harvest something.
Yes.
There were maxims that parang held true. But we realized it's not as simple. It turns out the world is not as simple. It's so complex that sometimes you can plant something and a storm can happen.
Yes.
And there are pests that can come and get your harvest. And even if you worked hard and really planted, there's nothing to harvest.
Yes.
You know. So those are of course poetic analogies of what society can do to an individual, di ba? Kahit masipag ka, even if you put in the work, sometimes either luck or society or the general who holds the decisions will really decide for you. So the world for me now is way more complex than we pictured it.
like for instance, adults always told us, you study hard, you do your work, and then you strive to do something in your profession. But then, you know, it's possible that you do all these things and then you still end up nowhere, and yet you see people who are way dumber and lazier than you, and they're rich and they have airplanes at their disposal.
I'm glad you brought that up, which means it's an orchestration of very many things.
Yes.
Apparently,
Yes.
you know the Irish prayer where the wind must be on your back,
The
or
wind
blah,
at
blah,
your
blah,
back,
blah, blah.
yes.
That being said, hindi pa rin mare-replace yung put in the work, ready when it happens, because even if there's wind on your back, if you did not have the skill and you did not practice it or hindi ka ensayado, it won't move. Does that make sense? So, is it unfair? Absolutely. Especially when we see others who get better breaks than those who deserve it.
Or worse, we see people who are demonstrably criminal getting ahead in the world and achieving positions of power.
Those who are obviously, objectively in the wrong,
Yes.
pero sila yung nagsasucceed, I think that gave birth to the belief of an afterlife eh. Kasi sasabihin mo, hindi to fair.
And of course, they're the ones
Dapat may
with
impyerno.
they're the ones with no guilt whatsoever, di ba? Because they feel somehow entitled to what they have stolen or
To them nga, it's not, I didn't steal anymore, this was mine.
it's
How
mine,
can I
you know.
steal something that's mine?
That is true.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we can run on that. But I also think what we have forgotten, may I
Yes, please.
say my theory? I think because I make soap,
Yes.
I make handmade soap, and the soap that I make has no preservatives, no synthetics, no sulfates, no phthalates. So it will not bubble the way commercially produced soaps will.
Yes. It
will
won't
fade.
lather. Yes.
It will not lather, you're right. It will fade. Even the scent will fade, given one 1 year and 8 months to 2 years. It's so different from commercially produced soap.
Yes.
Why? Because if you produce soap commercially, all due respect to all soap makers, your priority sometimes, especially if you produce en masse,
Yes.
your priority is shelf life.
Yes.
Because if I make my soap in Ohio and I want to sell it in Vietnam, it
had better survive the
It
trip.
better survive the trip, and kahit hindi ko yan masell for 6 years, the soap will stay green, it will still be mabango when I open it. Can you imagine what they add? Because nature is not this way. Nature is not static.
Yes.
When you bite an apple and you leave it open, after 5 minutes to 10 minutes, brown na yan.
Yes.
Oxidized. That's nature.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the apples we have? That they are harvested in September, boxed in November. Pagdating ng New Year, pula pa rin.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine what they add? So, I think what I'm saying is, when we use the term quality control, and it's the same with people, I'm not just talking about soap here. When you use the term quality control, I don't think it really is quality control. What we mean with quality control is, the soap I make in November should be exactly the way it is November 10 years from now. That's not quality control. That's static. Ergo, that's not nature, right?
Basically, you're subverting nature.
Yes.
You're subverting the nature
Yes.
of nature.
So I think nature has to, we have to remind ourselves what the world is like. There are seasons, may nabubulok, magkaka-wrinkles ka talaga. You know, and changes really happen. And I think even with our energy level, you know, I think a lot of mental wellness is really connected to energy level. Now, we forgot.
That is true.
We forgot. We're aging. We put a premium so much on things that are static, meaning did not change.
Yes.
Why is
Yes.
it such a compliment when we say, ay, ganyan pa rin itsura mo?
Oo nga,
High school
no?
pa lang tayo, ganyan na itsura mo.
That
like,
is true.
Like that's a good thing. No, we age. We have to change. Things happen. Leaves turn brown, whatever, you know. But we forget that. And it's the same with moods, you know. It's like we're not allowed to be, you know, in despair certain weeks and very, very happy on certain
That
days.
is true,
And
yes.
Why? Why was there such a premium on static things? We need to change. I change, you know. And I think nagkaroon din tayo ng value so much in consistency. And totoo, I love consistency, especially with work
Yeah.
and merit. But for other things like our nature, really, you should allow every now and then somebody to break down, somebody to be sad, somebody not to be on tip-top shape.
Hence the advertising buzzword disruption. In advertising, they say that, well, things are just they've kind of plateaued, they haven't changed. So the way to get everyone's attention is to disrupt the usual proceedings.
Yes. All due respect to anybody who's had cosmetic surgery, but with soap, I always say, you know, commercially produced soap is like parang taong nagpabelo na. Kasi they remain perfect and wrinkle-free. The natural handmade soap, for me, it will really fade. Hihina yung smell.
Yes.
You know. But please remember, we're the generation of babies that crawled on bright floor wax. You know,
That
the
is
red.
true.
So, tayo yung toddlers na nag-crawl dun sa pulang wax floor na malay ba natin na i-inhale na natin as toddlers. And we're also, our parents also were the ones that first discovered Glade and Bay Fresh. And when they spray, you know, for 10 minutes, amoy dalandan yung bahay mo.
Yes.
Ganyan. And then, and the thing we forget is our sense of smell, it adjusts. Even if it's an offending smell, after 10 minutes, sasabihin ng brain mo, we can't work if we smell the basura all day, so I will make the sense of smell adjust. After 10 minutes, sanay ka na sa amoy ng basura, right? So, magsaspray ka ulit. Amoy Bay Fresh ulit.
And thus, buying more of the product from the manufacturer.
Please remember, this is synthetic for it to be that offending the smell, right? We have friends, we all have friends, who over cologne.
Yes.
You know? Because they can't smell themselves anymore.
That is true.
Nasanay. And ganun yung magic ng sense of smell, ah. And ito pa, when you smell something, let's say, if you're lucky, it's an orange and not BO.
Yeah.
Let's say it's an orange. How many inches, millimeters even, away is it from your limbic system? Your nose is right there. Then all of a sudden, you remember your childhood. Physically, magkatabi sila eh. Ilong mo and your limbic system where all the emotions are, you know.
That's true.
Can you imagine, why do we not optimize our sense of smell for handling our moods? Dude, you know this, pag mabantot yung room, hindi ka makaka-focus, hindi ka makakatrabaho.
True.
Pag mabango, you can. So,
Yeah.
so na-realize ko, we have control. Some control. We have
Yes.
some control of what we can smell.
Yes.
This is why we choose cucumber melon, nyam 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 for soap, because that's that's a scent we want to smell when we bathe in the morning.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Yeah.
You know, when you smell it, right? All of a sudden, all is right in the world. I used to wonder, why do I like the smell of beer and cigarettes? Apparently, my first kiss smelled like that.
Beer and cigarettes.
Yeah. And it's an awful smell combination, really, especially
Yes.
if you don't smoke and especially if you don't drink, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
especially if
thinking,
you're in
bakit
enclosed, unventilated
ang
room.
sexy ng smell na to. Yung pala, na-associate ko siya.
It's
Yeah,
in your
making
memory.
out.
Yeah.
I only figured it out. I'm old na, you know, I'm married, and it's one of those things you can look back on with no pain. And you're like, wow, right? And certain colognes of the 80s, di ba? Yung crush ko, amoy Dracar di ba? Kahit sinong maamoy ko, amoy Dracar.
Okay.
Pag
Or
maamoy ko yung Dracar, pogi agad
Eternity.
Pag maamoy ko yung gray flannel, pogi agad. Automatic.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
At pag may maamoy mo Old Spice, wala, daddy mo yun.
Oo nga.
Kahit boyfriend mo yun, hindi mo mahalikan kasi amoy ng daddy mo yun.
Or in the darkest days of the 70s, remember that musk perfume Jovan? Oh my God!
Yung kulay green.
Yeah.
Oo, sino kaya nag-invent? Galit ba sila sa atin? No? Bakit sila?
This have something to do with the fact that in the Philippines, all our toiletries, they have masyadong malakas ang amoy. They're to me, they're over-perfumed.
Okay, first of all, I think we try to overcompensate because for the days that baka walang tubig at hindi tayo maka-flush.
Yeah, and
it's really
baka ang tagal-tagal mo sa traffic, pawis na pawis ka, and so you don't want to smell like sweat.
Buti na bring up
Why are people embarrassed by the smell of their own sweat?
You know, you're right, I think like I said, our noses adjust.
Yes.
Our brains adjust. Hindi mo alam, volume 10 na yung cologne mo pala. If we go back to nature again, when you walk like under trees or whatever it is, they give off the sap and they float around in molecules. They're not overpowering. But generally, your brain can sense, ito yung smell ng forest. Or ito yung smell ng trees sa UP,
Yes.
sa Acacia. Hindi siya overpowering, pero alam mong may nasi-smell ka.
Yeah.
Nare-recognize ng brain mo. Why do you not smell it? Because we're so used to overpowering sprays, you know? So I really encourage everybody to train your nose again to enjoy the subtlety.
But first, we'll have to have some kind of cleansing of our nasal apparatuses. So, how do we do that?
There are several ways to do it. I suppose it's like quitting an addiction. You know, it's either your nose will respond to cold turkey or slowly changing.
So, how can we avoid smelling though? Because we're surrounded by it.
We can't avoid smelling, which is exactly why I think we should control. Because sometimes I think people don't even know that their mood changed because they started to smell something.
That is true.
You don't
Well,
even
I
know,
know
ang sungit
that.
mo na, ang
I know
lungkot
that
mo na.
whenever I get into a grab car, the first thing I say is, pwedeng pakitago po muna yung
nakasabit
car
sa-
freshener
yeah.
because it triggers my sinuses. So,
Oh, yeah.
So,
Maybe not even just that. We have this fascination for the amoy states. You know, when somebody comes home, may balikbayan box, and then pag inamoy mo, ang distinct ng amoy, kahit ano pa yung laman ng box. Whether medyas, panty, t-shirt. So as I grew up, I married someone who born and raised in the States, hindi nagtatagalog.
that's why you married it kasi,
yeah.
kasi amoy
Amoy
state siya.
pasalubong.
Oo.
No, he asked me, what is amoy states? Because I hear that from my cousins then when I come home. Ano yung amoy states? Hindi ko ma-describe. Hindi naman siya citrus, hindi rin siya, you know. Then I realized, I have to figure this out. What is this smell? Because really, it is a distinct smell. All Filipinos with relatives na OFW, alam to, na nag-States, right? Then I realized, nawala yung romansa. Can I tell you what my findings are?
What?
The airports of the United States have a certain antiseptic spray that they really spray on 0 degrees, yung aircon room, to take the bacteria out of all cargo before they load, and that's probably what
So,
we're
yan ang
smelling.
amoy states, antiseptic
I
spray.
know. For a while, I thought it was love of relatives and pasalubong. But
But it's
if
just-
I go back to molecular science, it's probably the antiseptic spray of every customs cargo place.
Wait, speaking of molecular science, can we get you something to drink?
Oh yes, please, may I have coffee?
Coffee.
Siyempre, no wait, let me specifically say it. Coffee given by someone with no t-shirt in a chalet. Oh!
Yes.
Galing!
See,
Galing!
very specific. We have guessed your request.
Dreams come true,
Yes.
don't they? Thank you. Yeah.
So that's it. The way that we see the world is affected by what we smell, and we're not even aware of it.
Yeah. Not just the sense of smell, because sense of smell is not just naamoy mo.
Yeah.
Sense of smell is also anong naalala mo,
Yeah.
anong naramdaman mo nung nangyari yung naaalala mo. Sometimes even trauma comes back with smell.
How did you get into making soap and
I was a legislative
Aromatherapy?
researcher
Yes.
for Senator Angara for a couple of years. And then I resigned because I was also like I was having health issues and etc. and eczema. But even from college and high school, I would make my own soap. Pero super simple lang. You know, pag may, I don't know, baka may nanonood na may eczema. Some soaps work like Dove, Ivory, yung mga gentle. And then after a while, hindi na siya mag-work. You need to switch. Then you need to switch. Again, because our bodies adjust.
Yes.
Same, right? So when I realized nag-iba yata ng formula yung sabon ko, ako nagagawa. So I used to just saponify coconut oil. You know, when you're, let's say, 10 years into your job, into your profession, you tend to get lazy and then you decide to wing things.
Yes, yes.
Then you will encounter failure. I have. So I realized, parang I'm not exercising my mind. I think I'll study something I've always wanted to study, but they said
which is always
walang
the
pera
best
dyan.
way to deal with yung feelings of stagnation or defeat.
So
I
I
learn
enrolled in an
something
applied
new.
chem class, applied chemistry, because I said I used to love chemistry, but I didn't.
Yes,
think,
and that's always the advice you will encounter in the Philippines. Walang pera dyan.
yes.
As if
Sabi
the
ko,
value
hindi
of
yata ako
everything,
nag-chemistry kasi walang pera.
as if the value of everything could be measured in money. So that is a very
Thank you for bringing
Pinoy
it up.
thing,
Because
yes.
when I started posting that I was making soap, every single one, 100% would say, sell or change your formula so that the profit margin is higher.
Yeah.
And then package it that you can, parang my end goal is to sell. So that I'm thinking, wait, am I wrong? Like,
because this society teaches us that the highest thing that we can aspire to is to be rich.
It's profit, no?
Yes.
Why we do things is for profit. So I realized it's harder to explain na, no, I just really like making soap and formulating. I can
Exactly.
actually give it away if you want. But I realized, I can fund a project with this. Okay, fine, if you want to buy. So what I decided was to do a compromise. I prefer teaching soap making. Yeah, so that's like my big thing now. I teach barangay women. I also teach very wealthy women who are bored with their lives, and I charge them a large tuition,
Which
so they can
defrays the
sponsor.
costs of the barangay women.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they can sponsor. So if you study soap making with me, you actually have a sponsor. You sponsor a scholar, and my next step is I have to match the women with small boutique hotels, parang buy soap from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Small
that's the thing now,
hotels.
di ba? You go to an establishment, they have proprietary
Yes.
scents, soaps, etc.
And you know, like we were talking about profit as priority.
Yes.
I realize when you share knowledge share, and it becomes their livelihood. You teach a group of women and they make it their livelihood. Magtitipid yan. So, iba yung recipe, they'll buy cheaper,
course.
ABC
Yeah.
para the profit is higher. And for me, it's always, you have to keep it this way so that they keep buying. Kasi kung mag-change ka na, then I realized this sentiment of keeping quality is also a commodity. It's because I can afford it.
That is true.
So heartbreaking rin na iba kasi yung pinanggalingan ng scarcity and abundance. So the challenge is bigger pala.
That is true. Yeah.
Kasi it's not pala skills exchange lang. Parang there is also a cultural divide between those who need to make this for profit. So, but that's good because I'm learning. So I say, okay, I think there is a middle ground. We can do more coconut oil, less olive oil, so we can tweak, we can adjust. It's the same quality, etc. So now I handhold some of the co-ops we've started so that the hotel keeps buying from them. So that ako
Very good.
Ako yung quality control.
Would you say that this whole project of yours of making soap,
So-
it's some kind of psychological thing that deep down you really want to clean things up.
Yeah, it saved me, my
Yeah.
wellness, because I don't half-ass things. I really, when I get into something, I want to do well
Yeah.
in it, right? So when you make soap, you handle caustic soda, you handle lye. So
Yeah,
you,
like in Fight Club.
you can yes, you cannot be distracted because it's caustic. It will.
So
really
it's like a mindfulness
Yes!
experiment. Yeah.
Yes, really, seriously. You know the way some women like Zumba?
Yes.
That's my Zumba. It brings me to the present minute.
Which is so difficult to do in the age of distraction.
Age of multitasking.
Exactly. So
Grabe tayo.
it's become a luxury to do one thing at a time.
At a time.
Yes.
Exactly. We are the generation that cooked and watched TV at the same time.
Exactly.
That ate and watched. Tayo yun eh. But when you're handling lye, you have
You
to have
cannot.
safety goggles, long sleeves, etc. Handle the perfect precision measurement. Otherwise, you will burn your hand, the chemical
Exactly.
burn, etc. It's the few minutes in my day that I'm presently really where I am. Kasi na-realize ko, this might be simplistic, but let's...
Your therapy is handling lye.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah. And not just that. I work with material that smells good. I used to paint. I mean, I used to paint and I do sculpture, but I have eczema, so plaster would hurt my dry skin, and turpentine and thinner and acrylic and gouache would get me dizzy. Kasi
Yes.
so parang, okay, hindi na wellness.
That's
to.
what you need to develop.
Art materials that
smell good.
Kaya yata maraming starving, ravaged artists kasi yun ang inaamoy nila buong araw.
Yeah, that's why. And then they'll go and drink themselves to death.
Isipin mo
what do you
kung
want?
amoy lavender yung thinner. Oh.
Oo nga.
Re-relax ng lahat ng artists natin
Oo
ngayon, di
nga.
ba? Isipin mo ko yung amoy
The
ng
smell
gouache.
of black pepper.
Yung amoy ng gouache, frankincense.
Yes.
Di ba? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what the art world
Ooh,
needs. But then, if artists are happy, can they still make art?
Absolutely. I am not of the school that you have to be
you have to be
tortured
unhappy.
to produce. No. Alam mo, the church really did a number on us. Wait, I love the church, whatever. But we put such a premium on suffering.
Yes.
We put such a premium on sacrificing. Alay mo sa bansa. Endurance, training, buhay. Ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Wait, no. If you really enjoy photography, if you truly enjoy making soap or painting, that doesn't make it less of an offering,
Yes.
just because you had fun. So feeling natin kasi lagi, pag pinaghirapan mo dugo, mas malaking alay. Ha? Hindi. Of course not. In fact, if you enjoy something, mas kaya mo araw-arawin, mas kaya mo maging consistent, mas may endurance ka. So stay there.
But somehow, a lot of people will say, it's less valuable because it's easy for you. Kasi hindi ka nagdugo.
Yes. Because nga, may premium tayo in suffering.
Yes.
We put a premium to suffering like, grabe, hinagbis. No, but, well, that's probably Christian in origin because,
Yes.
flat, scourging at the pillar, crowning with thorns, and then, grabe, since we're philosophical and
Yes.
off topic anyway, can I just say something? I love the church, don't get me wrong, and whatever, the Jesuits are great, whatever. But if a baby is born and the mommy dies at childbirth, number one rule in any psychology book, they say, never make the baby feel it's his fault or her fault, right? That the mommy died, right? Never. But look, what do you tell 4-year-olds?
People will close ranks.
What do we tell 4-year-olds? Jesus died and bled because to save your sin. And you're 4 years old saying, but I just lied about breaking a vase.
Yes.
But somebody 2,000 years ago died and bled for you. So you're going around your life very guilty. Like, sorry. But if you think about it, wait, you didn't have to die for me, it's fine. But so we work around guilt. Am I saying it's wrong? No, absolutely not. Then why do we not emphasize the life instead of the bleeding? I'm thinking he probably enjoyed healing, He probably enjoyed giving me whatever.
Yeah, it's like we are told that if you truly love something, you have to die for it. I think it takes a more strength of character to live for something that you love.
Absolutely. I think work will always be required
Yes.
anywhere. So you might as well stay somewhere that you actually can do every day because in the end, endurance, repetition, ensayo, that's what will make a difference. Kasi wala naman pinanganak na Michael Jordan, ang luma ba ng example ko? Sorry. Wala naman pinanganak na Michael Jordan except si Michael Jordan. Pero ang sinasabi niya, nag 1 million free throws ako para maka 10,000 points.
That is true.
Right?
And it's like whenever it's award season and my friends and I get together and Meryl Streep is always nominated, but Meryl Streep is not going to win every time. It's going to be some actress who made herself look ugly for a role.
Yeah.
Who gained 200 pounds
Yeah.
And didn't wear makeup, who will win. Because it's extraordinary to see that actress doing so well. Meanwhile, someone who does excellent work all the time, we figure it's easy for her, parang let's give chance to others. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. So I guess it should be a balance. But I feel kasi no matter what, in any paradigm, work will be required.
Yes.
So, why not minimize the pain and the burden by doing something you really enjoy because you need to put in the work anyway? I have a feeling this is why there are no child prodigies in poetry. Meron sa science, meron sa math.
There probably are. It's just that they're keeping it to themselves because if mommy and daddy find out, they will say, all together now, walang pera yan.
Yeah, or they'll say, kailangan ng Adderall or whatever. No, I think wala. Kasi I think poetry or writing will need years. Will need texture. Will need pain. Will need some experience before you produce something. It's not just wordsmithing a sentence. It's not just creating a sentence.
Yes, it's doing it over and over again. Yeah, which is the only training. Yeah.
That's right. Pero music, math, yung numero, rhythm, etc. Daming genius dyan. 3 years old pa lang. 4 kasi innate naman sa atin yun. Pero feeling ko to write and to paint, I think you need to live first. I had a chance to study under Ferlinghetti.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one summer. It's like the best summer of my life. He said, if you want to be a poet, be a bartender. Yeah.
And then everyone will tell you their sob stories.
Yes! And then you have material. And then you're just there placidly listening and then you have material, right? Etc. So, which means maraming ways to perfect something, right?
Would you say that most of our psychological issues are rooted in the culture? Or are they, genetic or...
I think it's a combination of many things. Of course, some are predisposed to ABC, be depressed, etc. A lot of it, I think, is unprocessed trauma or unprocessed grief, and we all will have our share of grief. Lahat tayo mamamatayan. If we don't process it appropriately, it remains inside. And what is it? It is a feeling. And a feeling is energy. Sometimes tumatambay siya sa organs, tatambay siya sa where you're weak. And that's very true because your energy will find a place to hang unless you either let it out in the form of, I don't know, energy dispersal like a sport, or just discussing it. Let's just talk about me, okay? My parents are in their late 80s. I am in anticipatory grief. I think it contributes to my mild depression because I'm almost waiting. We're in the waiting room for them to get the phone call and that they died. So what's the effect on me? I used to not sleep. Like I'm super insomniac. Yung pala, ayokong tulog when the phone call happens. So I'm anticipating the deaths of my parents and that's real. Naiipit yung mind ko or yung self ko in the anticipating.
Right.
And then every time my phone makes a sound, I jump.
Yeah, and you find out that anticipating the terrible thing turns out to be worse than the actual terrible thing. It's just that you extended it for up to years of
you really
dread.
have to ask yourself, okay, hindi ka natulog ng 6 na buwan kasi you're waiting for the call. Will the call come? Yes. The call will still come. So why don't you just live, And you're right. You told me this at the wake of James. Just try to be grateful for little things na we can easily dismiss because we're so cool and we don't like things like be grateful. No! Dude, it's not cool to be ungrateful. You have to be grateful for things.
No, yeah, because there was a period when I was always glum and then I was surfing the said, what are the, treatments, therapies that I can take for depression in case this is depression. They said, keep a gratitude journal. I said, that's so baduy.
I
And yet, I tried it and it
know.
worked. But every day, you just make a list of 3 to 5 items you're grateful for.
Yeah,
So it doesn't have to be anything major.
No. I think we think there's this unending quest for cool.
Yes.
Parang we think we need to be cool. And, things like being grateful, having a grateful journal, being kind. Parang, I don't know what happened to it. Why did it stop being cool? I don't know. No! Dude! Pag hindi ka nagta-thank you, yan ang hindi cool.
Yes.
Right? And
pag hindi ka nagte-thank you, rude yon.
Super! Lalo na if you do rape jokes, walang kinagagawan. Pre-niyap ko lang. Sinama ko lang. Kasi may chance eh. No, but di ba? Parang, ano to? Who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to impress? Wala. And we forget these things. So I think that's in the depression aspect, that's how I make soap. Gumaling na ako gumawa ng sabon. Ang dami kong ginawang sabon.
This makes me want to learn to make soap.
You should come because you work with nice smelling materials, so that's really
Yes,
good.
and I'm also thinking that if I ever take up serial killing, that's what I will do with my victims. Turn them into soap.
Scientifically and chemically, molecularly, it is possible to turn people into soap. Chemistry is everything, really.
Yes.
I'm an element, so are you. People we don't get along with, they're elements. They're not good or bad, they're just bad combinations.